This is video 4 of my quarter scale sandrail build. In this video I'm going to be talking about the brakes and how I modified them, how I did the exhaust, and how I did the axles. For the brakes, you can see I made my own custom aluminum brake plate that's significantly stronger than the factory one. The reason I did that is over here on the factory one, when I took the car apart, I found that it was broken and this whole rear piece was actually missing and the brakes were just kind of flopping around in there. The actual rotors themselves got pretty warped. You can see how dished up that one is. And the spacer that was between them disintegrated and flew apart. So when I made this plate, I made the area that's back here about 3 times as thick as the original one was, because that's where a lot of the pressure when you're applying the brakes is kind of flexing this area, and I left all of this area solid so that it should be significantly stronger. Pop that off, you can see the brake rotor that I made. I made a one-piece rotor that's the thickness of the original 2 rotors with the spacer. It's all one solid piece, and then it has a hub on the bottom there. You can kind of see that's the same width as the aluminum hex that it rides on, so it has a lot less wobble and a lot less chance that the originals could kind of flex and twist around when you're pushing on the brakes hard. For the exhaust, I made up a tuned pipe. It looks really similar to a DDM pipe for a Red Cat Rampage MT. I like the style of it, and so I came up with this. It's made out all of aluminum. And it fits in here like this, and that's mounted up on the engine. You can see how it kind of flows with the shape of the car, and it's inside the chassis. When I made the chassis, I made the outer hoop here go around, because I was planning on doing an exhaust like this on the side, and that way if the car rolls over, the chassis protects the exhaust pipe from getting smashed. To do the exhaust pipe, it's all out of solid aluminum. I started with solid round stock, and then hollowed up the center and turned the outside into these different segmented cones. You can see every over 3 or 4 inches I have a different weld bead here. That was as long as my boring bar was to get inside and actually bore out the material. So I made these different cones, and then I welded them all together, and then put a spout, right here in the middle, and this tapers down. Kind of see how it follows the roof line of the car. It looks pretty cool, I think. Then for where it mounts to the motor, originally it was all aluminum and is all one piece, but the vibration from the engine would cause it to actually crack and break right at the flange for the motor. So I made up a new flange, one that's there, that's made out of steel, and this is a Teflon coupler. Originally I tried using a silicone coupler, and the heat would cause the silicone to just deteriorate and fall apart within one run. So this is a piece of Teflon that I got from McMaster, and since I put that on there I haven't had any problems. It's really stiff like plastic right now, but when it gets hot it turns into almost like a rubbery material, but it doesn't burn or melt, so it works out really good. For the drive axles, I had to make custom ones because the width of the car is about 3 inches wider than a factory Baja from HPI. So this was an original axle that I had made up. You can see how twisted it is. They used to be parallel, and that was made out of a piece of 4130 steel, and I also tried a piece of pre-hardened 4140 steel. But aside from the twisting, the other one is actually broken. The ball actually snapped right off, it twisted so much. So my newest attempt is going to be taking a factory axle. That's what I did here. I cut it in half, and then I made this spacer, kind of a spacer collar, and I'm going to slide those in there, put some flats on it, and use set screws to hold it. And when it's all put together, with the boots on there, it looks like that. So I'm going to see how that works out. I haven't tried it yet, but at least if the axles in this one break, I can just take another factory axle and slip them right in there. It's way quicker than having to make up an entire new axle out of solid stock. So getting closer to showing all the pieces. Next video will probably be when it's all painted up and show you how it runs. So until then, that's it.